Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'd like to welcome our audience to to our panelists and presenters today. My name is Mark O'Brien. A lot of notice a lot of you are first timers on this kind of a community webcast. I'm going to be your MC for today's webinar. Thank you for joining us it's going to be a very lively interaction with the community. And I just want to warn you that we're going to have lots of poll questions. We've got lots of people talking today about important issues and things that are really relevant to the upcoming conference. Our first poll question is going to be, which modern software languages are you using at your organization? Oh, interesting. So JavaScript is number one, 65, and then interesting other is more than Java and C#, which are kind of 3 and 4. So that's really interesting. And obviously, multiple answers are allowed because multiple uses of these software are alive in our organizations. So I wanted to show you what we're going to do on today's agenda. Got a pretty busy one and presentation filled one. So today's agenda, I'm basically going to have Roger talking about the preview of the conference, and then I'll mention the boot camp. Summer's going to talk about the venue itself and rooms. Then we're going to have some pretty quick lightning talks by Abacus, Remain, Sodisa, and Lusodata, who are all our sponsors for the conference. And then we'll roll right into a technical Plex and technical 2E lightning talk by our by Boris and Mark and Jonathan. And then roll right into, we'll be having some more poll questions, and then we'll convene at the end for general questions. So as I said, we have lots of panelists today. We got Roger, me, Summer, Kirk, and Chris, and followed closely by a second full page. Never had this many before. Great. Eureka, Mark Schroeder, Boris, Jonathan, and Hugo Rodriguez. So Roger, what are the latest updates on the conference?
Thank you, Mark. I just want everyone to know that we have been planning this conference for almost a year now. Put a lot of work into this. We're going to hold it at Boca Raton, Florida. We have a tremendous venue of where this conference is going to be held. It's just really going to be first class. And we're doing the Plex and 2E Bootcamp, which is something that we've never done before. So this is a tremendous opportunity to bring some people who either are new to these tools or maybe just need a refresher and learn all about them. 4 tracks, Plex 2E, technology, and Spanish. It's just loaded with content. We're going to start on Monday with hands-on labs, followed on Tuesday by general sessions, and then Wednesday is a half day of deep dive sessions. As we did last year, this is going to be a hybrid opportunity. You can either join in person in Boca Raton or attend virtually. Early bird prices, in person $449. If you want to send 4 people, you can do a buy 3 get 1 free for $13.46, and if you want to attend virtually, it's $109. So there again, there's the 3 days of the conference. Monday, the hands-on labs with the general sessions on Tuesday with the 4 tracks, and then Wednesday is the half-day deep dive sessions. So Mark, would you tell us a bit more about the boot camp?
Talk a little bit about the boot camp. Also mentioned, Roger, is kind of morning, noon, and night, right? We've got events during the conference for both the technical sessions as well as the boot camp people in the evening as well too. We've never done boot camp before at the conference, and it's a great opportunity to train new users, or perhaps you've got analysts or managers who aren't very familiar with the technology, but they need to know more about it as part of their responsibilities. So For new users, it's great for as a refresher for existing users. It'll be great. And we have a special opportunity that 2 people can train for the price of 1 through this weekend. So you buy 1 ticket and for training, and we'll send you instructions on how to send a second person to be able to do that. And our venue also supports the embassy suites. The rooms are set up so that you have 2 separate bedrooms and bathrooms, and then you have a common living and kitchen area for the price of 1 room. Summer, tell us about the venue.
Good morning. So as you know, the conference is going to be at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Deerfield Beach. So you can register for it on plexsuite.com, or you can also reach out to me. For those of you who already booked your rooms, great. But for those of you who didn't, our block of rooms are sold out. But if you reach out to us this week, you can email plexsuite.com or reach out to me. We can try and get a possible room at the hotel for you guys. But please do not wait till the end. And we also did a blog post on alternative hotels. There's it's just like a mile or 2 away. That's Wyndham Deerfield Beach Resort, and Doubletree by Hilton Hotel, and Hampton Inn by Boca Raton. So feel free to reach out to me, and always keep checking out the news on the Plexsuite website. Thank you.
Thank you, Summer. So we want to tell you a little more about the sponsorships. We have quite a few sponsors this year: Broadcom, ANI Solutions, CM First Group at the platinum level. Then we have Remain Software, Abacus, Sodisa, Hawkbridge, and Lusodata at gold level. So these are the sponsors will be in person at the conference. They have technical sessions planned. They'll be in roundtables. They'll be very active, and I want to encourage you to take advantage of the people that are selected by the conference committee because of their expertise, specifically in the TUI and Plex software modeling stacks. For everyone who has gets a ticket by this weekend, on the 15th of April, we're going to announce a raffle winner to the Sunday, May 7th finals of the Formula One race at the Hard Rock Casino in the Miami area. This is a customer only, in-person only tickets, and sponsors aren't eligible to win. Which DevOps topics are you interested in learning more about at the conference? It'll be continuous integration, continuous deployment, software change management, automated testing, containerization, or security and compliance. So DevOps role, CI/CD, number 1, followed very closely by software change management at over half of you. And then quite a bit of information in automated testing and security compliance, and not so much with containerization. So, sorry, now that we've gotten through poll question number 2, now I can introduce Chris Carlson of Abacus Software, who's going to tell us more about their role. They've been at several of the conferences before. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. And again, thank you everyone for joining this morning and this afternoon for some of you. My name is Chris Carlson with Abacus Solutions. And Abacus Solutions is an IBM I cloud hosting and managed services company that is obviously focused on the IBM I platform, which the vast majority of you are on today. We are partnered with CM First and have been for a while. We're very grateful for that partnership. And we have a number of CM First customers that are in the Abacus cloud today. So we've been around for about 22 years. I've been here since the beginning. We have been a cloud and managed services company since 2008 is when we hosted our first customer. We have grown tremendously since then and have hundreds of customers in our cloud, thousands of environments, again, all focused on the IBM I platform. So looking forward to the conference. I can speak from experience. The last one that I went to, which was in Austin, was fantastic. The Formula One event was a first for me, and really excited to hopefully be able to attend that again this time in Miami. But besides the lot of fun that we had, it was a very valuable conference. Obviously the CA Plex 2E community was there. There were lots of questions and answers, and a lot of communication being done, a lot of things being figured out, because obviously CM First is in the modernization, the optimization, transformation at the application level. Well, Abacus is a great fit and a great partner for CM First, because we do the same thing just at the infrastructure and the data center level. The future of the I-Series is definitely in the cloud. IBM's written out a 20-year roadmap for the platform. So it's not going away, and it's really only growing, and we're certainly growing, and we're doing a lot of that with CM First. So really excited about this conference in Florida. I'm sure this is going to bring a lot of value, just like the last one, especially now that we're out of the pandemic time frame. It's fantastic to get back out, see people in person, and really have those conversations that are going to drive us into the future with the CA Plex applications, and obviously the infrastructure cloud as well. So we're excited about it. I think I'm going to try to bring a solutions engineer with me as well to help answer questions, as I'm just on the sales side. But it's been a fantastic partnership with CM First, and really looking forward to this conference and running it back at this spot in Florida. So again, Mark, thanks for the time, and really looking forward to the conference in a little over a month.
Chris, thank you very much for those words. Next up, we have Kirk of Remain Software, going to tell us a little bit more about what they're coming to change management, and let us know what's going on. Kirk, this is your second conference, or Remain's second conference.
Okay, yeah, hi. This is Kirk Francis with Remain Software, and I'm sales and support for North America. And Remain has been around for 30 years of DevOps, and it's a company located and founded in the Netherlands near Amsterdam. And they've stand for Release Maintenance International. So they've been doing this for quite some time with regards to software change management. In addition to that, it's important to note that there's a changing landscape out there of software and code, and Remain is looking towards the future to all of that. And many of the DevOps tools that they have also are running in a internet, web-based or Eclipse-based, and they even have their own interface, My Workplace. So that's something to keep in mind with regard to change management when you're looking for other sources that exist out there on different platforms as you integrate and move your applications forward. Regarding the change management, I just like to share a story. Is I remember being a 2E developer and having the boss come and ask me to change a couple of fields on the screen and just flip. They were mixed up with their labels. So all I had to do is change one to the other. And I thought, that's easy. I'll get that done and get that installed at lunch. So I did that, made the change on the screen and put it in, and immediately my phone starts ringing off the wall. Kirk, what the heck are you doing? And I was like, wow, just change the screen. Like, well, everything's broke, nothing's working. And so I kind of started digging into it and realized that there was something wrong. So I backed out the change, and I went and I looked at the action diagram and the generated code. I had saved the prior generated code. There's no change management in place. I just had to make manual backups of things. So I'm comparing the two generated sources together, and guess what? They don't match. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a change if I'm just changing the fields on the screen. And if it was just RPG, obviously you just change the DDS, recompile, and you're done. And then, so I compiled those two objects, compared them to the production object, and none of those matched. Long story short of it, I ended up changing about, I think, 24 functions to get them all synced in again with the parameters and everything. So everybody knows that there are 2E developers on this call. I'm certain they've gone in as programmer and was just tooling around, looking at stuff, and things happen, and you inadvertently make a change, you F3 out, and yes, you save the changes, and that's what happens, and things get out of sync between what's in your model, what's in your generated source, and what's in production. So what we plan to present at the conference is our solution to that, so that you can effectively collaborate, track your changes, improve your efficiencies, identify your potential risks, reduce your errors and conflicts, increase accountability and transparency. And another big one that we're coming to find out that is a really big deal is evidence of compliance. So if in an organization that has auditors come in and are taking a look at the systems and how things are changing and what's tracking those, TDOMS does a really good job of that. So some of the areas that, as you may know, that can be impacted when you're going into the code is the action diagram parameters and the parameters inside of the action diagrams, and even the function options. Those are some of the areas that we can help control and maintain and keep track of your changes. So if anybody on this call is interested in taking a look before the conference, you're welcome to reach out to me at kirk.francis@remainsoftware.com or sales@remainsoftware.com. We'd be happy to schedule a Teams call. And just like to say thank you to Mark for inviting us, and we're really appreciative of that, and we're looking forward to the conference and covering. I saw that we had, what was it, 60%, Mark? People said they were interested in change management, so.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. They're very timely. It's always a timely topic, but even more so with
right. So if anybody has experienced a similar situation to that story I described, we're the people to call and have us walk you through what our solution is, and we'll again look forward to seeing you all at the conference. So I'm gonna hand it back to you, Mark. Thanks so much for having us today.
Great, thank you, Kirk. And next up, we'll have Hugo Rodriguez, who is in charge of our Spanish track. Sodisa has been a sponsor for multiple conferences, and they were the instigator about 8 years ago when we actually started having a separate Spanish track, where there's a full afternoon of Spanish technical papers and concepts presented, and all in Spanish. No English is allowed to be spoken. And Hugo's also a pretty good golfer too. So Hugo, tell us more about Sodisa's plans and the Spanish activities at the conference next month.
And good morning, everybody. In Sodisa, we are excited to be with all of you in the conference. We have almost, I remember the first conference almost 30 years ago. For us and for the people, it's very good to be in the conference, because sometimes we have a problem, or the people have a problem, that talking with our partners or our friends in the conference, we could find a solution. It's very good to be there. We are working a lot for giving to you different ideas and different tracks in the conference, in the Spanish conference, and this time we are trying to do it in English too, for the people. Thank you very much for everybody, and I hope to see you soon in the conference. Thank you.
Excellent, Hugo, thank you. And also, after the Spanish track is presented separately, they come back into the general session at the end of the day and report on the best, kind of the best ideas, the best of the best. So that learning experience and that content is not lost on any of the participants. Next up, we have a sponsor that's new to the conference. However, Lusodata, if you are in Iberia and especially Southern Europe, no stranger to you. And I want to introduce Yuriko Oliveira, who is basically running their United States operation, and will be joining us at the conference for the first time. Welcome,
yes,
Yuriko.
Thank you very much, Mark. And hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Eurico Oliveira, and I'm from Lusodata, a Portuguese company, and we are really very excited to be on it. And well, talking a little bit about Lusodata, it's founded in 1982, so the desire there to develop innovative IT solution still remains now. We need and we want to respond to the needs of the people and organizations as well. Over the years, we've been constantly adapting the reality of the market. We all know that the customers and all the best technologies we want to do and the tools and how it works better. So our desire and the goals still remain alive. In this conference, we are going to share some technical tips that help us to overcome problems that related to software distribution and updating, for instance, using Plex API template. And not only with Plex, with CA2E, we will working with, for instance, triggers in SYNON, or doing a new way to auto refresh display screens, or another kind of tips using journal. I mean, data visualization tools with files in the same records in a way we work with. I mean, we're going to share some tips and in a way to make our tools for everybody can use it. So I think it's going to be very exciting, and as well to meet new people with new solutions and new problems too. Thanks again.
Eurico, that's great. We're looking forward to bringing you and your expertise, and you'll have two technical experts at the conferences as well. At this point, we're going to shift gears a little bit and go into our lightning talks. Our first lightning talk is going to be around Plex, and it's going to be delivered by Boris Volgarin. Take it away, Boris.
Hello, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so the topic I would like to discuss today is one that you probably already know well, but it never hurts to have a refresh. So the topic is managing models in Plex. So before addressing it, let me explain why it is important. Today, many Plex users are managing their models, particularly group models, in the cloud using external repositories. In the next few minutes, I'd like to cover basic concepts of Plex models and show the scheme that many companies are implementing to store and manage models. So as you probably know, Plex has a model-based development approach. This offers the advantage of separating the design, the business rules, and the implementation of the code that is managed by the generators and that generate the code. But the model is the place where the information about an application is stored, and it's the most important asset that we have in our application. So in Plex, we have three types of models: the group model, the local model, and the library model. Sometimes we use these repositories, these models, but we just by default work with that, but knowing the real concept behind those. So let's just refresh and let's take a quick look at each of them. So the group models is the main repository, the master repository of all information about the Plex application, and it is formed by several files that it's stored in a directory format in our Windows PC. So there is only one repository. Okay, all of the information about our model is there, and it's typically shared between the developers. The local model is actually where the developers do their jobs. It's a working copy of the host group model, okay, and can contain some of all designs information from its host group model. Usually, it's stored in the developer local computer, and it's stored as a single file with a MTL extension. A graphical representation of the group and local models could be like this. The group model is in one repository, and one group model can have several local models associated with it. So the last type of model that we have is the library model. So this is a special type of group model that is referenced by another group model. So a group model may reference one or more library group models. This allows the developers to reuse components across multiple applications. Okay, one example of the library model in Plex is the Plex pattern libraries. So typical model structure in Plex, we have this one, which is the application group model, our application group model that references a company standard group model, and the company standards references the pattern library group model, which is the pattern libraries that comes with Plex. And each of these group models, the application group model and the company, has its own application local model, which lets the developer update or extract information. So in the real-time applications, there are many companies that are migrating their group models from local servers to cloud storage with different repositories. One of the most used is Git. Okay, we have several companies that are using Git repositories in order to store their group models. So with Git, you can have all of those files and directories associated with the project, and you can have the complete history of all changes made to those files. In our case, it's for the group models. So in a Git repository, each change made to the project is tracked, so we can know who made the changes, when the change was made, and what the change was. So these are some images that deceive the different models in form of a local directory. For example, in the left image, you can see different group models that are in a Git, and this is just a representation of those models that are right now in Git and are cloned in our local environment. And with this approach, we can perform different activities, different features or functions with our group models. So for example, we can see who has the files log, for example, before we can update the group models. So there are different tools that we can use in order to manage the Git repositories, and those tools are some are graphics, other are a command line based. In this example, I have two tools that shows different activities that we can perform with our repositories. The left one is the Tortoise Git, which lets us manage the repository with a friendly user interface instead of Git Bash, for example, which is a command line based tool that we can perform those actions to the repository. And our final next tip, so always it's a good practice to add a comment with our group model update. Remember, when you update your group model with Plex, this window asking us for a comment regarding to the update that we are making is presented. So this is optional. We can just leave it blank, but it's a good practice to always add a comment referring to the update that we have that we are performing. So in the case we need to perform an administrative task and need to review those updates, we can have a common sense of what was performed there. And I just want to thank for your attention and for joining me in this presentation, and hope that you have found the information about the Plex model and their management useful. So if you have any question or need further assistance, just please feel free to contact me at any time via email. I'll be happy to provide you with any additional information that you may need. Once again, thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.
Terrific. Very nice job, Boris. Next up, we're going to have our 2E lightning talk with Mark Schroeder and Jonathan Bolton in attendance.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Jonathan Bolton. I'm going to be presenting a preview of what Mark and I are going to be doing at the conference this May. We're going to have 2 lab sessions. One will be how to create services using the IBM I and 2E generated code as the back end. We will be creating the web services using the IBM integrated web application services wizard that comes with the operating system. And we're going to be doing a demonstration of CM First's Matchpoint product, which is a combination change management and object transfer system that works very well to allow you to take 2E generated objects and turn them into web services. In the afternoon, we're going to be doing a session on consuming web services. Now, for those of you who have attended these webinars in the past, you may recall that I have done a talk like this in the past. I'm going to be reprising part of it by, again, showing how to use open source code from one of the gurus of the 2E universe, Scott Clement, to do this. Scott Clement has ported an excellent JSON parser, YAJL, and he has an excellent HTTPI. I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. This is the prelude. Just let me get set up here. There we go. Here we are. I hope everyone is seeing my screen now. Let me just start the slide show so it's a little cleaner.
Looks great.
And so that will be one example. The second example, which we'll talk about when I switch the slide here, I've gone through the creating the services. The second one, I'm going to concentrate on something that maybe some of you know about. Many of you may have missed it. I only learned about it earlier this year. IBM added new HTTP functions in library QSys2 at a technology refresh. For v7r4 folks, it was refresh 4, and for those of us still at v7r3, it was technology refresh 11. It's very interesting. What I found in working with it is not everything that you need to know to successfully implement it is contained in the articles and documentation. In other words, the fine print will get you. But the examples will be a service returning just one data set, and a second one returning an array data set. So that's what we're going to be doing at the lab sessions. Now, why are we talking about web services? Well, I can give you some personal examples. In my previous job, we had a web developer, and he wanted to get information for a dashboard and customer portal that we were creating from our IBM system. Well, at the time, I didn't know about web services, and we ended up with a connection method called shared servers, shared SQL servers, where he was using a SQL server that delivered SQL select statements to the IBM system and brought data back. It worked, but it was one of these situations where I'll characterize it as a few too many moving parts, and it did give us problems at time. Had I known about web services, that is exactly what I would have done. The second example, we were working, the firm I was working with was working with a freight logistics provider, and we needed to get freight information to include rates from them. Well, they had a web service that delivered a JSON packet, and they told me about it, and they said, these are difficult to use, and they also knew that I was to use the phrase, a grizzly old green screener running an IBM system. Well, I looked at their information, did a little bit of research, and in about 2-3 weeks, I had integrated their web service. I was pulling JSON packets from the web in real time into our ERP system's shipping function. So these are techniques that I think you'll be called upon to use. The creating keeps those nasty web developers kind of at arm's length from those of us running the IBM system, and you will probably have to come in and consume web services from folks down the road. So that's what we're going to be doing there. Now, what I can do is give you a preview of some of this in how it's going to look. Let me change my screens here. This is, we can talk about both the create and the consume. I'm going to concentrate mainly on the consume. If you take a look here, in the consume web services, awful lot of user source. Well, that is part and parcel of this, because both these techniques involve integrating programming or code that the 2E system cannot generate on its own. So this is a time when you do need to use user source. And I will tell you, for both techniques, you need to be using RPG4. In other words, you need to set your model to do RP4, at least for the objects in question. In the creation, well, my colleague has just mentioned, should I ask the question, can any RP4 program be used? In the create process, that is correct. The IBM Wizard will accept both a program object or a service program object. Service programs are, I would feel they're best used if you have multiple services that are perhaps somewhat related, and a service program is a loose analogy to what the C# folks know as a dynamic link library or a DLL object, where you've got multiple functions inside one physical piece of code. But the wizard will work with both program objects and service program objects, and it will generate both a SOAP service or a RESTful JSON service. The consume side, you can consume anything you can get your hold of. Basically, the open source code from Sky Clement does JSON. It also has an add-on for the IBM function known as data into, which will allow you to extract SOAP. And this new QSys2 HTTP code allows you to use a SQL select statement, admittedly a rather complicated SQL select statement, to both do the call to the web, bring it in, and then parse it. So that's what we're going to be presenting. I'm going to step forward here real quick and show you the finished product, because then you can see the complexity. For those of you working in RPG, a lot of this looks like exactly what the 2E generator provides for us. Where it gets interesting is when we get down to here. And all of a sudden, we have free-form code. And that's the part that becomes user source. And the key to the whole process is right here, this select statement. Select everything from JSON table, QSys2 HTTP GET from a web service URL with a header and then some parameters down here. I'm not going to go into all this right now, but this allows you to bring in, and in this case, this is a web service that has a 2E array object coming back as one of the parameters. In this particular case, a maximum of 50 instances, and you can read all 50 of them. If we go back to the green screen and we take a look at the action diagram, the finished action diagram, it's rather simple. We have a standard create array function here to create the array and initialize it. And then I built a very simple function to retrieve the desired system URL from a database file. And then here, this is to set up the request details array setup to consume the web service, and then a fetch operation. And then what has to happen here is you load the outbound parameter array and then do a while loop to pick up the others and close it. So from the standpoint of the 2E code, it's very straightforward. Where it gets interesting, of course, is when you take a look at the code you have to write. It uses a new structure available in RPG, a qualified data structure. Notice the data structure here, qualified here. And for those of you who do know that this could be done totally in free form, yes, it could. I opted to use the traditional columnar logic for my definition specs. Some standalone variables, which of course the program generator will place in the proper places in the finished code. But then here's the heart of it done in free form. With one open. The fetch is another piece of user source to modularize it and then give you the ability to build a while loop. If I don't think there's enough time, but at the lab sessions, I'll be using something like either Postman or SOAP UI and show you the return from the web service, and we'll play with this, test it, and you'll see that it works very well and it is fast. So does anyone please submit any questions? But I think, John, at this point, I've given everybody enough of a tease that hopefully we'll have a standing room only at our lab sessions.
Awesome work, Jonathan. Thank you very much for that. Poll question number 3, which application hosting services does your company use? AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure, IBM, or another cloud hosting vendor, or everything is on premise? The surprise of few, everything is on premise. We're not using any cloud or application hosting services currently. And interesting, other cloud and hosting vendors are answered more frequently than IBM and Azure, and Amazon Web Services comes in dead last at only 8% of the respondents. And very interesting. Well, I think at this point we're coming up to the very end of our hour here, being mindful of time. And for people who you are or new to this, we have yeah, I was going to say a standard poll question. We want to do Mint. We have some questions now too. Going to hear from our the administrator about questions that have been submitted.
Yeah, we have several questions. I don't think we'll be able to get to them all. I can read them out.
Okay. So what we've done in the past is we'll send out answers to people, and within 24 hours you'll get a recording of today's webcast also too, to make sure you didn't miss anything. What's our first question, John?
Okay, looks like this is for Boris. What is the advantage of having models locally against Git?
Hey, well, there are some advantages that using Git to store your group models. The first of all, Git allows you to control the commit history, so you can easily follow the changes made to the group models. And the other thing is the security. Git offers a lot of security measures to like example backup copies or the encryption of the data. So there are several options that you can bring to the table in order to select the Git as a repository for your group models. Even though it's okay if you have your group models locally, but there is something that you can consider to take an advantage if you can have the Git option on the table.
Okay, thank you. So probably for Chris Carlson, does your service integrate with Microsoft Azure?
Yes, so we do have customers that are in Azure and AWS that connect to our cloud. So yes, we just for clarity, we also have an x86 offering because there's so many intertwined workloads with the iSeries platform on the Windows side, and we understand that. We understand that need for low to zero latency. So we have an x86 offering as well, but absolutely we have customers that connect to Azure and AWS as well.
Well, thank you. Okay, next here. Can a web service use any RP4 program as business logic? Or how about COBOL, I guess? I guess that's for you, Jonathan.
The wizard will take either RPG or COBOL. I have an example of a 2E generated COBOL routine that I put into a web service. The key is they have to be ILE programs. They cannot use the original program model, because the one key here is that during the compilation step on the IBM, the compiler needs to generate a small file that is typically embedded within the module object. It's called PCML. I think it's a PC type, some kind of markup language, but what it contains is a listing of all the parameter characteristics of the object itself, and that is used by the wizard to create the web service. So yes, COBOL or RPG, but they have to be ILE. So that would be either ILE COBOL or RPG4.
Have you had a requirement to pull data from a web service? Exactly what that means, but go ahead, Jonathan or Mark Schroeder.
I basically I answered one question during my presentation. As I said, in a previous employment, we were working with first one freight logistics provider, where I conquered pulling web services. The company then changed to a different logistics provider, and I was presented with probably the most complicated multi-level, filled with arrays JSON packet that I had ever run across. And I was able to go up and down, inside and out this thing, pulling data from various levels, going up and backwards and forwards to create the finished data that we needed. It took a while, but it can be done. So, it can be a learning experience. I'll leave it at that.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for that answer, Jonathan. I want to thank all of our panelists and speakers today, and remind everybody on the call, if you'd like to get some of these and other tough questions done that might be strategic to your business, bring us your problems, bring us your concerns, bring us your issues, and bring us things that you want to talk about that drive your business to Boca Raton in May. And we hope to see all of you at your conference and able to answer your questions at that time as well too, or train you as you prefer. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody, and so long for now. Until the next time. Bye-bye now.